Dr. Barry in the Magistrates Court here in the land of fiction. Anyway, what I'm going to demonstrate is the difference between a common law court and a court of maritime law, statute law. Anyway, the list goes on. So up here we have a magistrate court, and as I said before, down there you have the two little girls, usually sits there, the clerks of the court, or the Muppets, which like to think they have authority, but they don't. And then further down, on the other plane down there, we have the prosecution, and you have the defendant on the same level. In a common law court, let's look at a common law court, what it looks like. Here in a common law court, you can see it's just a level playing field. It can be a hall, it has four corners, it has a room, it has doors, and usually it has a place next door, a boardroom if it's in an area that's got a boardroom, or a school where there's another room where the jury can go to deliberate. So all decisions are made on a level playing field. Oh, they're all in black, that's how the chairs were, we didn't paint them. So the visitors to the court, which sometimes can be between 40, 50, 20 to 100, and sometimes we've had up to close to 150 people turn up to a court case. Now that's curiosity in most cases, but the majority of people who are awake want an answer to these criminal politicians which have made our lives a misery. Remember, politicians of the old went there to carry out the will of the people. Politicians now just do carry out the will of the government, and in most cases it's a foreign government. Our fearless leader here in Victoria is over in China because he's owned and controlled. That could be seen on reasonable grounds to cover my butt. He already has been convicted by a grand jury, or by a jury of his peers in the common law court, and he was indicted by a common law court, same as with the rest of them. There's quite a few minutes. They're all the things on our YouTube channel. Have a look. We made mistakes with Andrews and Sutton, but now that the foreign court's judgment, we can send our papers on the prescribed forms, which is very important to the Court of Justice in The Hague, and to our Supreme Court here that will carry out by law, legally and lawfully, will carry out the laws of the people. And that's in this time coming. Now, I'm not the common law court, I'm not anything. The common law court is the people. And you can fight me as an individual, you can fight the prosecution if there's in the common law court. You cannot fight the people. The people are the law. And there are no common law groups that we recognize. The Common Law Court International were just people to get together. There is no committees, there is nobody leading it, there is nothing. We have a lawful sheriff, we have up to 17 deputies at the moment. Now, to become a sheriff in the Common Law Court, we have, in Australia right now, there are 2 lawful appointed and sworn in sheriffs. One in Victoria, one in Townsville. Now the Townsville guy got elected by the people in his community. He came down to Victoria, he raised his right hand, took an oath before a jury of his peers who swore him in. He'd come back to Townsville, he can do the same. There is another common law court going to be in Bayswater very shortly. The gentleman over there is currently being up for election. When he gets elected by the people in that area, he will then come before the next common law court international case. He will take his oath before the people and the jury, and he will become endorsed by that jury. So they actually sign off. The 12 juries sign off on a document as well, and he signs paperwork. That is lawful, and that's basically all it is. It goes back, way, way back. The history goes back to Alfred the Great. He's the one that made, when the Vikings finished killing each other over religion, some were Christians, some were pagans, and they became more English than the English themselves, if that's the term to use, or the Irish themselves. And at that time then, there was lots of different laws, barbaric, generic laws, Roman laws, there was lots of laws, but he brought everybody in England, under the common law. And common means common to all, rich, poor, and different. No man is above the law. It means humanity, caution, prudence. Don't set out to hurt anybody. Be caution, be mindful of how you drive, if you like, not to hurt anybody, and be mindful that you are responsible for the consequences of your actions. A good example of that, a policeman here in Victoria, apparently, I think it was it would have been a man who's back a long time, fired a warning shot. And the warning shot went over the roof of a building and killed a woman in the street. Now, I don't know who it was and when it was, but it is a true story because it came from a reliable source. So he didn't mean to hurt anybody, but he didn't take caution. So that's what we have to be mindful. So a common law court, we'd like to see more of them in Victoria, more of them in Queensland. There are some terrible atrocities carried out against people. The amount of stress that's going on right now, and we're owned and controlled by foreign powers, and there's no other way out of it. We have to make a stand, and the people themselves, the ones that are awake, it is your responsibility to share this channel, whether you believe it or not. Look, I don't know how to do it, but I'm 77 years old, and making videos is a hobby, but I'm involved in the common law court. It means a lot of running around, chasing after and helping. And we get reports from people who are, their schools and their kindergartens are being destroyed because they have to have certain conditions laid down by false governments. There's no governments either, by the way. They're just corporations owned and controlled by bigger corporations. But there is an awful lot of very unjust things happening, and you, the people, have a responsibility, if you're awake, to make sure people know that they have a right under common law and how to get back at them. Now, the authorities, we delivered 4 individual ministers of a government, and on a Tuesday they resigned on Wednesday. These people know that they're breaking the law. They're on thin ice and they know it. The people have the power to come back. We don't have to fight with weapons and demonstrate in the streets. Just do it lawfully. Quietly, politely and lawfully, and use the law to gain respect. Anyway, that was the difference between the two courts. The common law court is on a level playing field. Every man, woman has a right to lay a charge against somebody who's caused them harm. In how we do that, right? Say you have a neighbour disputes which are pretty awful, and they've caused you damage they really get out of hand. What you can do is you can lay a charge against somebody who's caused you harm or loss, a private summons in a common law court. Now, the defendant gets, I'll use their terms, defendant, because people understand it better, gets an invitation to come to mediation in a common law court. There's cameras set up. No solicitors allowed. Both cases, they'll have a mediator there. Most cases can put their argument together, and they'll try and reach some kind of conclusion and a remedy. Now, if that doesn't work, and they don't turn up, which sometimes they don't, then the next thing is you send them a summons to come before a jury of their peers of 12, and then you, the complainant, become the prosecutor. You lay your charges, what's happened. You can show video evidence, written evidence, anything you like. They can come to the court as well and lay their evidence, video evidence. The jury, just like in any court case, whether it's maritime law, statute law, or fictional law, common law, can defend themselves like that. But there are no solicitors allowed into the system. It's just men and women trying to reach a common and lawful outcome. The jury then can impose very serious sentences in monetary, very simple remedies in monetary. They can reach a conclusion there was no case to answer. The jury make a decision just like in any case. In a criminal court, the jury send people to jail, send people for life in jail. So the common law court can do what they wish. The jury can. Nobody can interfere with the jury. Okay, the only way you can appeal that case, and in common law it has to go to the sheriff. The sheriff who's been lawfully elected, he's the one that can appeal it if he finds that there was something wrong in the court case as well. Now, we record all court cases on camera in silence. When I say in silence, we don't publish it, we don't let anybody see it. It's just kept there for the common law court records in case somebody did something wrong. The jury is never videoed, never divulged. Now, in serious cases, which we do in common law, is we have grand juries. A grand jury is selected of 23 people. The best way to do it is to have a sitting jury that you can, grand jury you can call at any time. Usually people stay in a grand jury in the USA up to a year. They change them every 6 months. Sometimes they bring in some new people, and then of course people get fed up hanging around and waiting, they leave. So you have a regular number of 23 for a period of time. Then you, as the prosecutor in that case, go forward and you put your case to the grand jury. And I've seen people in tears telling somebody at last was actually listening to the troubles they had in relation to the governments, mostly governments. In big cases like that, usually the grand jury is the best way to go. Now, let me just explain it simply. If John Doe broke into the post office and left his fingerprint behind in the post office, the police came along and got that evidence, recognized it was John Doe, and had a chat among themselves. Look, we don't have enough evidence. I mean, a fingerprint, maybe he was there legally, lawfully in the last few days, and that fingerprint was there, so we don't really have a case to prosecute. So the grand jury, the police come before the grand jury, lay their complaint in the prosecution manner, and put forward the case, and then they can tell the grand jury that John Doe was done this 5 times. He broke into Smith & Jones, Barbie Hunland, and all these different places and stole. He was a perpetual criminal. The grand jury then deliberate, and the majority, it doesn't have to be 23, but the majority of the grand jury can say, yes, he's got a case to answer. That's all it is. It's not guilty, it's a case to answer, and it becomes known as an indictment. The police take that indictment, in this case the common law take the indictment, and they issue a summons under the common law to a normal jury of 12, and the jury of 12 then make a decision whether it's guilty or not guilty, and they actually impose the penalty. They deliberate. Sometimes we see them here for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and if you're hanging around to go home, it's really annoying, but they can stay there for 3 days if they want. There's nothing we can do about it. And they come up with a remedy, and that is the case. And once that remedy in common law is published on the website or Facebook or any of these places, it then becomes a lawful decision. It's then lawful. There's no argument to it. And that's how simple common law is. But together we stand, divided we fall. And sadly, there are so many groups out there, and I've been to a lot of their meetings, and I'm really angry with them, because you'll find the whole thing is based on making money and keeping their groups going. Very disappointing. They don't want to get involved in common law. If they all combined and helped each other, then we'd have a bigger system, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to lose their status in their little groups, and they're running around just fooling people. Common law groups don't exist. In common law, there's just a gathering of people to source a lawful remedy for a problem. So please go to our common law court at the end of this. Go to have a look at our foundation, and if you have a few dollars, stick it in there, because everybody in the common law court is doing this as a volunteer. We're all volunteered, and I spend an enormous amount of time helping people. And why do I do it? Well, my wife thinks I'm mad, sometimes. Perhaps I am. But somebody has to make a stand. And the sooner I can get other people duplicating my values and continuing on with it, all around Australia, we will help you through our one. The thing is, with common law, it's got to be unanimous in decisions, if you like. We can't have different ideals in common law. It's one idea to seek a lawful remedy. The paperwork has to be the same. And there is a lot of paperwork. Now, if someone wants to start up a common law court anywhere in Australia, under our umbrella, if you like, we won't control you. It's your court. Now, as far as sheriffs are concerned, and deputy sheriffs, everybody wants to be a sheriff. Remember the old song, marriage is like a horse and carriage. One goes with can't go without the other. First of all, to be a sheriff in any place, you get elected by the people, you have to have a court. So sheriff and court go together. And then, when the sheriff is lawfully elected by the people, he gets sworn in by the first court case. Or they can come to Melbourne if they're in Melbourne, or you can You can have a court case there. We will help you with the paperwork here from Melbourne. We will help you to get everything you need. And we may even, if you're not too far away, we'll go there and help you set it up and run it. And why are we doing this? Because again, we have to make a stand against our yet-to-be convicted criminal politicians. Now, we're living in a red country again, the Labour Party. They destroyed this country when they got in here with Whitlam and Hawke. Whitlam got rid of the Queen, created the Queen of Australia, which people have taken oaths of office to the Queen of Australia. And then Hawke took a lawful oath to Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors, and then what did he do? He turned us into an unlawful republic. And now we've got the Labour Party back in all the states except Tasmania, God bless them. And they will just, now Andrew's off to China. What's he doing over there? He won't tell us, because he was elected by the people to carry out the will of the people, but this guy, he's not human. It could be seen in reasonable ground this guy is I don't know what to say. Really, I really don't. And again, we've got to be careful what we do say on the platforms, but I'm really lost for words how any human being can be so obnoxious. Anyway, London News signing off. Please subscribe to the Common Law Court if you can. We need more venues, and we need a sheriff's vehicle on the road. Now, if there's a company out there that wants to advertise our vehicle will be black and white. Not a Mini, it'll have a normal sized car, we don't want to look like Galars. And it'll have the emblem, and it'll have the address, the website, and the telephone number, which we have people standing by all the time taking numbers, taking phone calls. It'll have that on there. So this company can own the vehicle, run the vehicle and for a year or so, and get a lot of advertising from that vehicle as well. So please help us out, help us to help you. Dr. Barry, London News from the Common Law Court International. Bye for now.